You have controlled the weather of an entire country for 15 years. You have owned generals, senators, and the man who runs Mexico's war on drugs. You have moved 15 tons of cocaine across a border per week, not by hiding it, but by flying it overhead in Boeing 727s, while the army below looked the other way. And now, you are lying on a steel table in a private clinic in Mexico City, waiting to become someone else. This is the only exit you have left. Rewind. Chihuahua Desert, 1989. You are 33 years old, standing next to a pickup truck on a dirt road that ends at nothing. You have a problem. The Colombians bring the product. The Colombians set the price. The Colombians take the margin. The Mexicans, your people, are just hired drivers. Risk all the exposure. Keep none of the money. You sit with this problem for a long time. Then you make a call to Cali. You say, "I will move your product for free." The Colombians laugh because nobody moves product for free. You say, "I will take payment in cocaine, not cash, half the shipment." They agree, because why wouldn't they? Free transportation. They don't understand what they just agreed to. In 6 months, you own half the product entering the United States. You stop being a driver. You become the supplier. Everyone else moves drugs in car trunks and storm drains. You think like a CEO who happens to be at war. You buy 27 Boeing 727 real commercial airliners. You strip out the seats and load them with 15 tons per flight. You buy 3 private landing strips in the Chihuahua Desert, serviced by your own mechanics. You buy the head of Mexico's drug enforcement agency for $1 million a month to not answer calls from Washington. You buy generals, state governors, federal judges. Your cartel earns $30 million a day. Your accountants stop counting it. They weigh it on industrial scales. Before you, there was Pablo Acosta Villarreal, El Zorro de Ojinaga. He ran this desert corridor for a decade, and he was your teacher. He taught you which federal commanders could be bought and which ones would stay bought. He taught you that the desert swallows secrets better than any ocean. He taught you to never trust a man who is afraid of you, because fear curdles into betrayal. Always. In 1987, Pablo became sloppy. He started using his own product and giving interviews to American journalists from his ranch in Ojinaga, wearing a gold-plated AK across his chest and smiling for the camera. He became visible. Mexican federal police surrounded him from both sides. The Americans directed from 200 meters away. The Mexicans opened fire. When it was all over, there were 3 bodies on the dry riverbed sand. The Americans filed a report. The desert was quiet again. You saw it on the evening news, a small boxy television in a room in Chihuahua. You were 29 years old. You inherited the Ojinaga Plaza the following week. You filed that lesson somewhere permanent. Invisibility is not a strategy. Invisibility is the only strategy. Your uncle was Ernesto Fonseca Carrillo, Don Neto, one of the founders of the Guadalajara cartel. He was the one who introduced you to the network, the connections, the architecture before the architecture. In 1985, Don Neto made a mistake. He allowed Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo to kidnap and torture DEA agent Kiki Camarena. Camarena's murder brought the full weight of the United States government down on Mexico, and Don Neto spent the rest of his life in a prison cell. You watched what happened to the man who taught your uncle. Midnight, a warehouse loading dock. 3 trucks backed up to the dock, cargo workers unloading white bales in the amber floodlight. A man is kneeling on the concrete in front of you. He stole $2 million from the operating fund. He promises to pay back every cent and swears on the lives of his children. You don't look at him. You look at the trucks. You nod. Your bodyguard pulls a length of wire. It takes 11 seconds. 2 men carry the body to a blue plastic barrel, and by morning there will be no bones, no teeth, no DNA, just a barrel someone found on a highway. You light a cigarette. The workers keep unloading. This is Tuesday, and Tuesday is a normal day. Fear is the lubricant. Not ordinary fear. the kind that makes men hesitate. You need the kind that makes entire cities go silent, the kind that outlives the person who caused it. A rival in Tijuana tests your border route in 1993. You don't kill the man. You send 30 sicarios to his neighborhood on a Tuesday morning, 3 families, 9 people. By noon, not a single resident of that block will open their front door. The message isn't sent to your rival. It's sent to everyone who might consider becoming your rival. Mutilated bodies hanging from bridges in Ciudad Juarez. That is your billboard. That is your marketing budget. People call it savagery. You call it overhead. Nobody knows what you look like. In 15 years of running the largest narco-trafficking operation in history, the DEA has acquired exactly one photograph of you, blurry, black and white, taken from 300 meters. The man in it could be anyone. You have no social media, no public addresses, no confirmed residence. You move between safe houses nightly, and you don't use the same phone twice. You are the most powerful criminal in the Western Hemisphere, and you are a ghost. Here is what a ghost's life actually looks like. Your silk sheets are always pressed perfectly because you sleep on the floor, corner of the room, back against the wall, loaded AK across your chest every night. Your satellite phone, you make one call, you throw it away, because one call can triangulate your position for a Hellfire missile within 40 minutes. Every loyal lieutenant you have built over 15 years, any one of them right now could be sitting in an interrogation room in El Paso, trading your location for immunity, for a new name, a house in Phoenix, a pension from the U.S. government. You have aircraft that can move an army, mansions with gold fixtures and private pools, and you cannot walk outside and sit in the sun for 20 minutes. In December 1996, President Zedillo appointed General Jesus Gutierrez Rebollo as the head of Mexico's National Drug Control Program. The Americans praised him, a man of integrity, they said, a real partner in the war on drugs. The general was on your payroll at one point, $2 million a year. You housed him in one of your own apartments in Mexico City, and he filed reports on DEA operations directly to your people. For 3 years, every American counter-narcotics move in Mexico went through him first, through you first. In February 1997, someone inside the Mexican army finally talked. Gutierrez Rebollo was arrested, and the Americans were humiliated. The man they called a partner had been your employee. There was Rodolfo Leon Aragon, commander of the Federal Judicial Police in Chihuahua, your man inside the institution and on your payroll since 1991. He ran interference on federal investigations and handed you DEA informant lists. In 1993, he identified a man named Hector who had been feeding locations to American agents. Leon Aragon delivered Hector to your people on a Wednesday evening, and by Thursday morning, Hector existed in a barrel on the highway to Jimenez. Leon Aragon received $200,000 for the delivery and spent it on a ranch in Durango. The ranch still exists. Leon Aragon does not. You had him killed in 1997 when the Gutierrez Rebollo arrest made everyone above a certain level of knowledge too dangerous to leave alive. He knew too much. Everyone eventually knows too much. Your head of communications, a man you paid $3 million a year, a man who attended the baptism of your youngest daughter, spent 11 hours in a room in Houston answering questions. He did not do it for money. He did it because his daughter is 7 years old and he wants to watch her grow up. You had him dissolved in acid in a drum in Sonora on a Thursday. It doesn't solve the problem. The information is already in Washington. The Arellano Felix brothers in Tijuana have placed a $10 million bounty on your location. They want to collect you alive, and you know what that means. A man zip-tied to a chair in a basement, 2 car batteries, copper wire, and a question that takes 3 days to answer. You know exactly what that room sounds like. You will not be in that room. Here is what you have built with $30 billion. 15 mansions across 4 states, each one staffed and maintained whether you are there or not. One has a private zoo with white lions, a jaguar, and 3 Bengal tigers. One has a waterfall built inside the living room. Imported Brazilian granite, gold leaf on the ceilings. One has an underground tunnel system that exits 400 meters away in a dry riverbed. You have never spent more than 11 days in any of them. The tigers eat better than most people in Chihuahua. You know this. You don't care about the tigers. They are useful. They scare people. Everything you own is useful or it's gone. There is a number that the DEA uses internally, 237. That is the confirmed body count directly attributed to orders you gave between 1989 and 1997. They believe the real number is higher. They cannot prove the real number because the method you preferred, your people called pozole. Pozole is a traditional Mexican stew. It is also what happens to a man submerged in a barrel of sodium hydroxide at sufficient temperature. In 8 hours, no bones, no teeth, no DNA. The DEA has no body count for the pozole cases because there are no bodies. Your 3 children attend private schools in the United States under names that are not yours. One in San Antonio, one in Scottsdale, one in San Diego. They do not know what their father does. They know he is in business. They know the business is important. They know not to ask. Your wife, Sonia, prays for you every morning in a church in Monterrey. She prays you will come home. She does not know that the man who would come home is no longer the man she married. The face is the problem now. After 15 years of perfect invisibility, the DEA has a photograph that is not blurry, 41 centimeters wide, color, taken outside a restaurant in Monterrey. You are looking directly at the camera. The analyst in Langley who identified you circled your jawline in red marker. You look at a copy of this photograph for a long time. Then you call the surgeon. The private clinic in Polanco, Mexico City. You have paid the surgeon $2 million in advance, enough for him to retire, move his family to Barcelona, never work again, and enough for him to understand that his silence has a price, and that the price has been paid. He shows you the procedure. New nose, new jaw, restructured cheekbones, liposuction of the face to alter the underlying structure. 12 hours under general anesthesia. You look at the photographs of the man you will become. You don't feel anything. You stopped feeling things about faces in 1989 on a cracked runway in Chihuahua. July 4th, 1997. Mexico City. The table is cold steel. The fluorescent light above is very bright. You count the ceiling tiles. 3 surgeons. An anesthesiologist. The mask lowers toward your face. You have one thought before everything goes dark. The planes will keep flying. Vicente knows what to do. Your body is found on the street outside the clinic the same night. The official cause of death: cardiac arrest during surgery, complications from anesthesia. All 3 surgeons are dead within 18 months. 1 car accident, 1 shooting, 1 overdose that nobody believed was an overdose. Nobody investigates. Vicente Carrillo Fuentes takes control of the Juarez cartel. He sits behind your desk in your office in Chihuahua, signs the same agreements, pays the same people. He is not you, but the machine doesn't need him to be. The DEA spends 6 days confirming the body is yours. 15 years of hunting a ghost. They need to be certain the ghost is actually dead. But the Boeing 727s keep flying. Your name is on a wall in DEA headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. A closed case. $30 billion, 200 tons, 15 years. Not a single arrest. Lord of the skies. The skies don't mourn anyone. They just stay open, and the planes keep flying through them.